Mortal Kombat and the series finale for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier both debut as the trailer is released for Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and the leading men from our most recent film project stop by to talk about our experience filming together. I'm Joe Acierno.
And I'm Darius Delsoin. This is Cinema Unchained. Welcome back, everybody, to the Cinema Unchained podcast. I'm, of course, one of your co-hosts, Darius, and right beside me is Joe. Not only that, but you're probably wondering, we have two extra people. Who the hell are these people? This is Brian Collins and Jose Alvarez. These are the two of the cast members of the short film that we recently just shot and is currently in post-production called Venge. Venge follows a young man, goes by Calvin, who basically tries to get revenge on his girlfriend, tries to find her, tries to go after the guy that captured her, but things go awry and not go as planned. And so, again, Brian, who plays Victor, he's the main antagonist, and Jose Alvarez, who plays Calvin. So again, happy to have you guys on this podcast to discuss a bit more about Venge. How are you guys doing today? Really, how are you guys doing today?
Awesome. Another day in the city that actually has sun.
What'd you say? I'm sorry, Brian?
Oh, another day in the city that has sun. It's not cold outside. It's not miserable. It's a great day. No complaints.
I know. We're finally getting out of the long, dark winter. Jose, I'd like to ask you, how's your knee shaping up right about now?
Oh, my knee. It's good.
Little bit of background context. There was one scene where Brian, being the villain, has to flip over a chair and just get in Jose's face, and he does so, but he somehow completely decimated Jose's knee when he had to flip the chair up. And
if his leg was the target, I would have done a great job, but unfortunately, not calculated.
Honestly, I think what Jose should have done is that for the rest of the shooting time, and again, maybe he did this already and I just didn't notice because I had my mind on other things. He should have just limped throughout.
Absolutely.
For the rest of the shooting session, we should have carried it. He should have carried into the car when I drove him home.
That was rough.
Definitely. Yeah, I wasn't limping. I was definitely walking a little off.
Yeah, a little crooked.
Just a little bit.
Okay. I apologize. And you owe me. You got me. Anytime you can just show up to my place, baseball bat, just one crack. I deserve it.
Need him.
Get one. All right.
If I ever get to play ball with you, if we're on the court, I'll get my foul.
I got you, bro. It's fine. Everyone gets one.
Bumping into him, tear his ACL.
Yeah, happens. Long time coming.
So now I'm just curious. So Jose, Brian, again, you guys, whoever wants to answer it first, every man for himself. What exactly was your favorite part of our filming experiences together when it came to filming Venge? Are there any great memories that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything's always spur of the moment of how things are going to kind of accumulate and kind of just appear. I feel like that kind of let's go with the energy and go with the positivity, whatever direction. I feel like that kind of was very conducive to everything we had to deal with. From the cops potentially coming because there was a gun, being used. Things that we just had to just go with it because again, it just is what it is. But we had what we had. And I think, everything was pretty positive because of just the energy, togetherness of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, just like Brian said, just the whole experience as a whole was just so natural. I feel like we all got along pretty well. Mm-hmm. I feel like once certain sets get so big, there's a bunch of egos and a bunch of parameters that you have to stick to, and it's not as fun, but this was really organic. And I feel like one specific moment that was really cool was the first day of shooting in that nice orange sunset that was right over Ray Design. It was really cool. It was really cool. All right.
Yeah, no, I do think, again, building off your point, Jose, I do think that we got along very, very well. Just ripping each other back and forth. One thing I'll never forget is that, when you referred to me as a savage, because I'm thinking about, again, we're just ripping each other, we're all just, having a great time, just messing with each other back and forth. I'm thinking to myself, I grew up in Long Island, And this guy grew up in the Bronx, and he's calling me a savage. I'm like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's not how I thought my day was going to go. But, like, you know, cool. So, you know what? Thank you, Jose. And another thing I have to say, too, as far as, like, everything just prepping for this production, we had a lot of different surprises and changes, particularly with the cast, too. We originally had, well, we still ended up having, like, we still had 3 main cast members. But 2 had to drop out, and 2 had to come on very last minute, and Jose was one of the guys that came on very last minute within, like, literally a week before we started filming, and
crushed it.
Jose, you still knocked it out of the park.
Crushed it.
You still did such a great job.
Yeah, Jose knocked it out.
Last minute notice.
Thank you guys so much for this. It's because of you guys. Great writing and great, you know, castmates. Oh.
I try with the writing. Okay.
Thank you. So we had 3 original cast members, and there was only one that from, like, the time we casted people to the end of the film that, like, actually stayed consistent, and that one guy was Brian Collins. So thank you. I just want to say thank you for staying, like, as consistent as you were. And again, like, I get shit, like, you know, comes up with people too.
I was going to say, schedules, especially
people,
now more than ever, it's, you know, a lot of confliction. So, you know, things happen. I understand, like, at this time it is hard, but I was fortunate that this is one project I could stay consistent in. So I love that I could. It's a great project. So great team.
All right. Yeah, awesome. So now, just out of curiosity, what's next for you guys? Anything that you guys are working on that we can look forward to?
Jose, well,
Any man for himself.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just say, you know, fucking Jose, you go first. I should probably...
Oh yeah. Is there like a buzzer? Like, what is? No. So.
Yeah. We forgot the buzzers. The buzzers, guys. Sorry.
I just finished the feature last week that we wrapped. I'm working on another one with the same team, with different director, doing another movie coming up in the next like 4 weeks or so. It's gonna be a DEA role,
Nice.
an 80s timepiece. So it's cool. They have a lot of like 80s cop cars that they're gonna be using for the movie. And so, like, I don't know. I've never done a timepiece that's been an indie. You know, I've worked on, like, background for, like, big timepieces. But, again, the budgets for those are phenomenal. You know, so, like, it's one of those experiences that from, like, the ground up, I get to see how you can make, like, a makeshift, like, timepiece and still make it look good. So we'll see. It's going to be a hard project, but I think it'll be fun and engaging. So that's what I'm really putting a lot of my focus into right now.
Awesome. And you and I are working on something too, right?
Yeah. And again, that's going to be once we get into the Playboy of Park Slope. I don't know if you want me to mention it or not during Venge. But yeah.
That's fine. Don't say too much, but like, you know,
yeah, advertisement. Yeah. So I mean, again, the Playboy of Park Slope.
Working on another thing, but Venge. Let's keep going.
You know? Yeah, so features are a fun project to be involved in because of just like character development. I love shorts because shorts are so much more, they need to be more dramatized, you know, for it to be within a window of like having the attention span that's really small, minimal, because nowadays for our generation, we're not used to watching, you know, feature films anymore. We're used to watching shorts. We're used to watching clips, advertisements, you know, so like, you know, shorts to me are the more fun. And that's like what I think of like the chops of the acting world right now. It's in shorts. And so like the Playboy Park Slope is going to be the next project that's going to be a lot of fun to be able to really be able to do. But that's going to be biting your teeth into it. So yeah, I'm excited for that more than anything for, you know, the next short. That's my next foreseeable big project. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to finally getting that.
Yeah, again, it takes time,
and
but all
Jose,
good projects take time, you know. Sometimes, you know, it'll be on the back burner for a year, you know. That's a good question, actually. How long did you have this idea for a while, like what you wanted to shoot for Venge? This story about like.
So
that's a Darius question.
Yes. For me, the story actually came about in like. I actually wrote a scene that I wanted to just film just for fun, and then a story kind of came from it. I always wanted to do sort of a revenge story. I always wanted to do something in a parking lot and a sick beat up, but then I was like, you know what? I think I can add more to this, and I started writing it. The first draft, I think the first draft took about 2 weeks, 1 week, and then I just kept fine tuning certain things. I always knew that I wanted to be very ambiguous. I didn't want to say a lot necessarily just yet. I wanted to tease certain things, and that's sort of what drew me to the story. And then by doing that, I came up with a bigger narrative, as I always do sometimes with some of my short stories. They always get bigger. So for this one, I was like, you know what? I think this will be a cool, almost sort of part one, or like just, just a cool thing to film. Definitely for sure, especially visually, because I had a lot of visual aesthetics that I wanted to do for it that I thought would be really intriguing. And so that's kind of how Venge came about. I had a working title, but then really Joe and I settled on the title Venge because I thought it really felt more fitting to the story, to the narrative, and everything like that. So
Yeah,
it really
definitely.
took about, I would say, maybe 3 weeks of writing, necessarily, maybe a bit more.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's that thought, that seed that's been planted for such, again, that revenge,
Oh,
theme.
yeah, the seed's
Always
been
been,
there for like 3
yeah,
years,
yeah.
honestly.
That happens,
Yeah, someone took some money from Darius, and that's when the whole revenge plot, came in.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I'm because I do remember Darius starting to write that, and it's interesting that you said that we sat down and basically settled on the title Venge, because I remember thinking to myself all right, that original working title, we can do better.
Yeah.
we can do better than that.
I knew I could, which is why I was like, I'll think about something later.
And also,
Can we know what the working title was, or is it
what was it, Take Back or something?
Yeah.
It was Take Back. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
taking my girlfriend back from this
Yeah,
guy.
exactly, which is why I was like,
That's
I even told myself, this is a working title. This is definitely not final.
oh yeah, it's no, this is a prototype at best, But kind of touching on what you said before, Darius, about as far as when you sit down and write things, a narrative keeps getting bigger and bigger, which is interesting because I notice that when I write try to write something short, it usually ends up being longer than it should be. So I remember Playboy Park Club, and well, I don't think it's too long. I'm thinking to myself this is 25 pages. This is gonna be this is gonna be interesting to film. Whereas you, Darius, you're saying a lot with your narrative in what, 9 pages? What did the final script end up being? 10, 15 pages or something like that?
The final script was, page-wise, I think was 12 to 15. Editing right now is about 9 minutes long.
Yeah, because it is a pretty lean film. But honestly, that's not a bad thing. Because again, you and I went over the rough cut a bit, and again, this is still a work in progress too. I still felt there were certain things that could be, just extended just a bit longer. But overall, I don't think this movie's gonna drag at all. I really don't.
Yeah, and that was one of the things as well for me writing it, was that okay, I knew for sure I wanted tension to be there, but I didn't want to linger too much, and I still wanted to relatively have a decent, good-sized pacing, still without having to show or tell too much, and keep it ambiguous for that purpose. So.
Mm-hmm. And just another thing I want to touch on too, because like we mentioned before, Jose came in very last minute, and he did such a great job. Now, Jose, I'm curious, with how little time that you had, what kind of process did you put yourself through in order to just get yourself in that character? Because I noticed there would be times on set where in between takes, we would be kind of just talking and joking back and forth even, but as soon as the camera started rolling, you were immediately in character. So I'm curious as far as what your process is, because you seem like someone who can go in and out of character very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of used to be one of those guys on set that would be off in the corner all the time, just deep breathing, going crazy. But I don't know. I sort of tried to take slightly a different approach to where, I'm just calm, cool, and collected, chilling, talking like we were, and I feel once you just jump into it, you're just in that spur of the moment. I don't know. It's just being a little bit more spontaneous with it. And when I first read Calvin, I feel I knew who this person was already. I played a lot of characters that have had just been through traumatic experiences, and this was sort of traumatic in a way too. Your girlfriend's just gone after a while, and you have to go fight this guy and try to find this guy, and you're just this young kid that isn't really quote unquote about that life, just trying to go out here and just be crazy. So I feel I knew him already, but so it wasn't that hard.
All right. And now, because I know Brian answered this question, but Jose, what do you have coming up next for you? Are there any other projects that we can look forward to with you as well?
Yeah, I nothing crazy right now. I'm sort of I've been taking my time. I've been taking it one day at a time. I definitely have some scripts that I'm writing with some friends, so hopefully those come to fruition. I am attached to a web series that should be shooting in May.
Nice.
So it's a comedy. So I'll get to test my little comedic chops if I have any. And yeah, that's what's going on right now. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So nothing much.
All right, well, guys, I'd like to thank you very much for coming on. Like, you guys made filming, like, you helped make filming, like, just an amazing experience all around. As small as the process was, but, like, it still ended up being small and felt, like, really intimate. Thanks in part to you guys. So I really just want to thank you so much. Not only for coming on today, but, again, making filming Venge, like, such a memorable success that it is. So, again, thank you guys. Really do appreciate it.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right, then I guess we'll just keep moving forward to like the next segment. Then, like if you guys just like want to like sign off and whatnot. But again, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys.
Or no doubt.
All right, thanks. You too. Take it easy, guys.
All right, guys.
All right. So before we get into our thoughts on the trailer for Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, and or Google Podcasts, the Podcast Index, or YouTube. And again, like, follow, and share all of our social media pages in the description below. And yeah, now, moving forward to Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Again, there was just a trailer released for that. It was been anticipated for, I want to say, a pretty long time. Darius, do you know a bit more as far as like what this movie's actually about? Because like the trailer didn't really give us so much. Like it gave you just like a rough feel.
I'm not entirely too sure myself. I know there were rumors of that it's supposed to be a tournament-esque movie, but again, I don't really. We honestly, even I don't really know that much. I don't think this trailer necessarily was a story trailer per se, or it was gonna dive into exactly what the almost beat by beat or narrative of it, what was it was going to be, but. So yeah, I don't really know exactly what they're going to do with this movie.
Okay. It's still strange because like we don't know too much about what the movie's about, but honestly, it still looks pretty sick. I was pretty blown away by this trailer, and like it's funny how, because again, you and I of course come from different points of view as I've mentioned multiple times on this show, where you've always been more of a comic book fan. I can't remember the last time I picked up a comic book, so I don't know too much as far as like Marvel comics. But just when I think that they can't have possibly any other Marvel superhero movies for superheroes for them to make movies out of, they come out with this. So I am pretty excited, and it does feel like something. By and large, it feels like this doesn't feel like anything that we've seen before in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, this is just based on the trailer alone. If there is a hint of anything from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that this reminds me of, for some reason, I'm getting a Doctor Strange vibe. But
yeah, that
slightly.
Is understandable. I mean, like Shang-Chi does in the comics and even in the movie, as they're pretty much stating that it is a very mystical background, especially Shang-Chi as a character in the comics, and even the Mandarin, who is the main villain, he does have, to a certain degree, as far as comics and how the Mandarin has been interpreted over time, it's either been a mixture of magic, it's been a mixture of either tech infused with magic, so it's going to be interesting to see what the approach they take Shang-Chi going forward, because one of the main things when I heard about Shang-Chi is that there's going to be a lot of fighting, martial arts, that sort of thing, and that really had me excited. I love martial arts, I love fighting games, I love that sort of thing, and so seeing just the fight scenes in itself in this trailer blew me away, and I was like, wow, these fight sequences, the choreography looks great, and it's not, and one of the things I love about Shang-Chi already is that they're actually showing the fight sequences. It doesn't look like they're cutting too much, which I am very happy about.
Yeah, it's funny because like the choreography and like the fight scenes overall look very promising, and I think there's just one bit in the trailer where they kind of look like they're flying, and I got like kind of flashbacks to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. You beat me to that one. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
like
overall, like. Oh, sorry. Overall, like
I
I'm
thought
pretty.
you were gonna say something too. But yeah, for me, like I'm excited about this. This looks promising. It looks, from the trailer that they've shown, it looks better than I thought it would. there are certain scenes that I was just like, wow, this feels like an elevated version of the Winter Soldier, such as when you see him, the knife flying, he just reaches and grabs it. I was like, oh, that's okay. Let's sign me up. I'm all for it.
And as far as the cast goes, I don't know too much about the main guy who's playing. I'm going to assume Shang Chi, but Awkwafina's in this too. So again, that's that's going to show some promise as well.
Yeah, Simu Limu, I believe. He plays Shang Chi. Yeah. People who probably have seen him, he was in Kim's Convenience, which is a show on Netflix that revolves around an Asian family in Canada, and it's a comedic. It's a sitcom. But it was great. I love that show, and I think he's going to do a pretty good job as Shang-Chi in this film. He definitely has that presence, and I'm excited.
All right. So, yeah, when is I believe this comes out in September 3rd of this year, if I'm not mistaken, right? I want to say September.
I think September. I'm not. I honestly forgot what the release date is. Marvel is always just changing release dates for like Black Widow, all these movies that I kind of lost track.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of. But either way, I'm almost positive it comes out in September of this year. But either way, I think this looks terrific, and I'm curious as to what you guys are thinking. Like, how do you guys think Shang-Chi looks? And don't of course, when I ask that question, that means you have to leave your thoughts in the comment section there below. Now, before we get into our review of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, the Podcast Index, and YouTube. Like follow, and share ours. I'm sorry? What?
I said like it, baby. Like and follow us.
Please, for the love of God, follow us. We need this. Just kidding, kind of, sort of. Sorry, not sorry. And again, like I was saying before, like, follow, and share our social media pages, and they're all lined up in the description there below. Now, before we get into our review of Mortal Kombat, the series finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier debuted this past weekend on Disney+. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the show, Sam Wilson, a.k.a. The Falcon, and Bucky Barnes, a.k.a. The Winter Soldier, combat a violent extremist group whose members are infused with the super soldier serum, comparable to that of Captain America's. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do our non-spoiler review first, and then we're going to do our spoiler review after that. So when we get into the spoiler review, you will get a 5-second countdown. If you don't listen to that and you get yourself spoiled, can't say we didn't warn you. So Darius, overall, in a non-spoiler fashion, what exactly did you think of this series as a whole?
I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I think it definitely had a slow pace in the beginning. There are scenes and even some character interactions that did grab me. But overall, in the beginning, I was a bit, okay, like, I like it. Not too bad so far. Overall, I think my favorite episode was probably the second to last one, if not the third to last one. I enjoyed the finale a lot. I think, overall, as a series, I thought it was pretty solid. I liked it. I didn't love it. I had a good time. I was entertained. I laughed, that sort of thing. But I think as far as some of the narrative choices they made and even some of the scenes they created did seem out of place and really didn't fit in the world that they were trying to craft, but yet they're trying not to be on the nose with certain things. And that's when it kind of felt a bit unbalanced at certain points in the series. But like I said, overall, I enjoyed it, had a good time. So that's really much, without getting into spoilers, much I can say.
Yeah. Overall, like I said, I did enjoy the show a lot. I had a great time watching it. There are certain political narratives that it tries to touch that it did feel a bit preachy about, but it was not, in my opinion, it wasn't an issue enough to like come even close to ruining the show. However, there is one overall theme that at least I took away from this, and it was, of course, Anthony Mackie plays Sam Wilson, and one of the themes basically seems to revolve around looking at someone as a man who happens to be black as opposed to looking at someone as a black man, and I thought that theme overall was amazing. There's one exchange, and this really isn't a spoiler too, where Sam Wilson goes down to Baltimore, and he's talking with, a kid that's down there, and the kid goes and he's like, "You're the Black Falcon." He's just like, "No, I'm just the Falcon." He's just like, "What?" I'm kind of butchering this a little bit. He's just like, "What does that make you? The black kid or just the kid?" And just like how he handled that, I thought that was hysterical. I'm like, that's fucking perfect. I love him. But coming from like a character perspective too, Starting with Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, I thought individually they had so much going for them. They have a lot to prove to themselves, and even when they come together, they're not natural allies. But I just felt like overall that dynamic, that kind of foil relationship that the two of them had, and just how they bounce off of each other too, like why exactly they clash with each other. I just thought that was done really, really well.
Yeah, like I think the big standout really is Anthony Mackie and Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes. That dynamic, it's almost that bromance brotherhood sort of deal, and I really enjoy. There were elements when I actually felt more, and I liked Winter Soldier's character and his character arc more than Sam's at certain points,
Absolutely.
mainly because he's just had a lot more going for him, considering that he was manipulated, he was used as a weapon, and now he's trying to almost get free of that, and he's still not free of that. So I thoroughly enjoyed that a lot, especially Bucky's character arc and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they weren't bad characters in the movies before the show came out, but they definitely showed potential, and I think as far as their character development, they met that potential in the show alone. And keeping with the character discussion, of course you have John Walker, Zemo, and Sharon Carter, and what they did with those, and without going into spoilers too much, what they did with those three characters in particular, I thought they did very, very well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even John Walker, at first I was like, oh, I don't like this guy. But then later on, I still didn't like him, but I appreciated what they were going for and what they were doing with that character towards the end. And same thing with Zemo. Zemo, every time he's on the screen, he always steals it for me. Daniel Bruhl just knocks out of the part as him. Sharon Carter.
Terrific actor.
Woo! Holy boy. Especially when we get into spoilers. She was also good, too.
So now, before we get into spoilers, how do you think this show compares to WandaVision? You think it's better or worse?
I don't think it's worse or better. I think they're both, Falcon and Winter Soldier remind me of Winter Soldier. And I appreciate that a lot, because Winter Soldier is one of my favorite MCU movies. And so with that, and I still love WandaVision too. I love what they were going for with her, and I like Falcon and Winter Soldier. I wouldn't necessarily one is better than the other, but I will say that I think WandaVision had a bit more of almost more WTF moments for me that engrossed me even more. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier, one of the biggest things and what I love are some of the fight choreography, the fight scenes, and even it still has WTF moments, like when John Walker does a certain something. But I thought it was really, again, they both stand out on their own for sure, and I think they're strong additions to the MCU now and going forward, especially after the recent announcement.
Yeah. Now, if I had, honestly, this is a question that I was juggling with for a little while, which show, I thought was better. If I have to pick one, I honestly have to go with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And because even though the build-up to the payoff in WandaVision felt more original, and it definitely wasn't as predictable in any way, shape, or form, I felt like the payoff for WandaVision wasn't that great. Whereas with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the build-up was still, solid, and the payoff was terrific. And I just felt like I got more out of what they did with the characters. As much as I appreciated what they were going for with Scarlet Witch and how how WandaVision is basically a personification of her grief, Falcon and it still didn't overall it didn't have that lasting impact. Yeah. Whereas I feel like with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as far as how everything wraps up, as far as what I got from these two main characters, it just carried more weight in my mind. So if I had to choose between the two, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think from that perspective, as far as setup and payoff and what they're going for, I think Falcon Winter Soldier is definitely much stronger, mainly because this show is revolving around Sam Wilson trying to understand what it means and what that Captain America shield really symbolizes and what that means, and how him, as his own character, not necessarily needs to step up to that, but also needs to understand the flaws of that shield as well. And we'll get into that spoilers as well. So
Yeah. So, all right. So now, again, speaking of spoilers, we're going to get into our spoiler section of this review coming down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you want to fast forward around 5-10 minutes, go right ahead.
The Captain America
Okay.
shield's been tainted. Oh, when he decapitated or John Walker bloodied
man,
that dude,
that
I was like, oh
rough.
my god.
That final image in that episode, I want to say it was the 4th episode. It's that low-angle shot. John Walker was holding the bloody Captain America shield. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow. That was
And it's
great.
funny because I love that image because it reminds me of Civil War when Steve Rogers does that to Iron Man. But here's the thing, and this shows the two drastic changes, or like how different these characters are, and how John Walker, he's really never meant to be Captain America. We can see that. But like just how when John Walker does it, he's more of a soldier. He's like, I'm just gonna kill you, right? And he was furious after his partner, Battlestar Phil Lamar, died. You know, he was killed. And not only that, but when you see that and you watch Civil War, Steve Rogers very similar, but he doesn't go for that final blow on Tony Stark. He doesn't kill him. He just takes out his arc reactor so he can't use it. And it just shows how different these characters are and how, at the same time, John Walker doesn't understand the shield fully and what it means to be Captain America, where Sam Wilson, he definitely does, especially in that finale, in that speech he gave, that I felt was very powerful and was very like, and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it was preachy or anything like that, but it's like, that's not the point. He, not only that, but he's really talking to the other the black super soldier that nobody knew about. To me, when I saw that, it really felt like he was talking to him. And he was like, I'm going to be Captain America, and it's like, take it or leave it. I know people are going to hate it, but it's like, deal with it. And that reminded me so much of Steve Rogers and his against oppression, you know, and how he was against the government. Everything happened with Winter Soldier Civil War. And I just thought that, like, yeah, Steve Rogers, he chose Sam Wilson for a reason, and this is why. And when I saw that new Captain America suit, I was like, yeah, I'm down for this.
Yeah, but like, yep, that's exactly. This feels right. Touching a bit on what you were saying about John Walker, overall, I did feel like that he had a terrific arc from like just being like a kind of like suspect Captain America at first, to him losing his moral compass basically when his friend Lamar gets killed, and to, I guess, kind of pretty much redeeming himself in the end. So I thought what they did with him was great. And going back to Sam Wilson basically stepping up as Captain America, I fucking love that idea. Love him stepping into the role of Captain America. And I loved how, despite Sam being uncomfortable with America's past, he still believes in fighting for the country. And I think there's just something very admirable in that. And, you know, it's funny, too, because like I remember there were a lot of questions when it came to the idea of Sam Wilson becoming Captain America, because he didn't have he's not a super soldier. He didn't have the super soldier serum. So I'm curious as far as like what you think of that. Like, do you think that's like an issue? Do you think it's good to try something different?
I don't think that's an issue at all, because honestly, that scene reminded me of Captain America: First Avenger, where he was chosen for where Steve Rogers was chosen for the super soldier because of his heart and what he truly believed in, and that scene reminded me of that. And it's like, super soldier, super serum or not. I mean, look at John Walker. He felt like he needed the super soldier serum because he ended up taking it to be Captain America. But he still didn't understand it, and he still lost it. I mean, hell, the government literally stripped that right away from him. Was like, yeah, you're not Cap anymore. You're done. You messed up. And even John Walker trying to say he is Captain America. But again, this is why I really enjoy John Walker as a character. Is like, he moved past from that now. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm fine with, I'll be something else, and he'll be the U.S. agent, that sort of thing. And so I think Sam Wilson as Captain America is a solid choice. It's something that I think they were obviously going for, even in the beginning in Age of Ultron, really that dynamic you see. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it should be Bucky, and it's like, okay, as the comic fan, you probably do want Bucky, but as the narrative that they're building, even from the previous movies, it definitely looked and felt like Sam Wilson will be the next Captain America. Not Black Captain America, but Captain America.
Captain America. Yep. And I love that too. And it's funny because, you know, as far as like Sam Wilson not being a super soldier, right? Because like I think this builds into a larger point too, where I guess it's like as far as like what Captain America is supposed to represent. You know, it's not supposed to represent the superpower. It's supposed to represent the heart, and basically, you know, of basically just fighting for the country and just standing up for what's good and righteous. And you don't need a super soldier serum in order to do that. And again, Sam fits that model perfectly.
Exactly.
So again, I'm very happy with what they did with his character. Like I said before in the non-spoiler section, how his character as well as Bucky's had potential. They reached that potential with him stepping into this particular role. So I'm very happy what they did with them. How do you feel about how they wrapped up Bucky's story?
I mean, I like it. It's just I'm curious as to what he's going to go by now. Is it going to be Winter Soldier? Will it be White Wolf? Like, I'm curious to see Bucky going forward. I don't think it necessarily wrapped him up. I think it did in a sense of where his mental state was and the psychological effects he was having. But as far as, I guess, as a character in the next step, because Falcon, he's not Falcon anymore. He's Captain America now. You know, where's Bucky? Yep. I think he's Bucky, but not necessarily nothing else just yet. And I think the next thing, what's going to happen, is that he's going to redefine himself now. I think he might go by the code name White Wolf at this point, because the Wakandans are calling him that, so why not? So, it's going to be interesting for Bucky going forward. But overall, like I said, this series, I really enjoyed it. Sam Wilson is Captain America. Deal with it or not. Captain America 4, I'm all for it.
Yep. I'm really looking forward to it again. I think he's a great successor to what Steve Rogers built. So I'm very happy with what they're doing with him. And now, just out of curiosity, guys, what did you think of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Was it worth following it for the last 6 weeks? Leave your thoughts in the comment section there below.
It was for me.
Now, now, to cap off the show, Mortal Kombat. Yes, Mortal Kombat, the adaptation of the video game series, finally hit theaters. And Darius, would you like to just say exactly what this movie's about? It's kind of simple, but you're more into this than I am, so I feel like you should.
Tournament fighting, that's the movie. I mean, essentially, it follows the main character, Cole Young, who is a brand new addition to the Mortal Kombat franchise, and I guess, how he's going to get into the Mortal Kombat world and how he needs to, basically, all these Earth realm, all these people of Earth have to fight in a tournament to keep it safe from other outer worldly leaders and people who want to take over Earth realm. That's essentially Mortal Kombat in a gist, just to keep it short and simple. And this movie, yeah, let's just jump right into the movie.
Okay, so, all right, so Brenden, there's a non-spoiler review, so Brenden, in non-spoiler fashion, what exactly did you think of Mortal Kombat?
I thought it was very bland. I thought it was very formulaic. The cinematography was well done. The cast was, they did well with the script with what they had. Some characters were trying a little harder than others. And I did not like Cole Young. I'm just going to say it. Sonya Blade was she was an exposition walking machine.
Yep.
Cole Young had no enthusiasm. He had no swagger to him at all. He felt very shoehorned. The movie felt cut apart, torn to pieces. Fatalities were cool, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta agree with like a lot of what you said.
Dang.
He didn't. Cole Young didn't get like the best. He didn't get like the best role. He doesn't really win anything for without going into too much. He doesn't really win anything for himself, and I feel like they were setting him up to do that sort of thing, and he doesn't. And I don't want to give that away, but overall, like I had a blast watching this movie. It was very entertaining. The fight sequences were awesome, which again, of course, is like the main reason you go to see a movie like this. Well, even though, again, you should go for the story too, and I feel like narrative, it was fine for what it was. It still somewhat worked. I still felt more of an effort with this movie to make it feel at least somewhat cinematic, again, with the narrative, with how certain shots, like particularly landscape shots, like actually, worked or whatnot. It actually looked really nice. So I felt some kind of effort there. But Darius, what did you think? Because I know you're dying to just
Yeah, I am dying.
to vent
Like,
about this one.
for people that know, yet again, Mortal Kombat is one of my favorite fighting game franchises of all time. And Scorpion is also one of my favorite video game characters of all time as well. So when I went into this theater and to see this movie, I was like, I expect awesome fight sequences, the fatalities, the gore, all of that, and a meh, if not subpar story and narrative. And I got exactly that. And the thing is that it's sad. And the thing is, I didn't want to be right about that. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cole Young as a character and what Greg Russo and the director were trying to go for him did not work at all. I did not like this character. Every time he was on screen, I don't know if you could tell, Joe, when I was next to you, I was just like, oh boy, not him. No, I don't, like, let's move past him, please. I don't want to see this guy.
Like, he didn't give a shit. He didn't
felt...
care. You know what I mean?
And he literally said he didn't care in the movie. I mean, overall, I'll just say this. I had a fun time. I was entertained. I laughed, definitely. But just as, and there are certain things, even in the lore, that I was not happy about at all, and I think it took the uniqueness of certain characters that make them who they are completely out, and I wasn't a fan of. Here are the characters I did like. Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Liu Kang, and Kano to a certain degree.
Oh, Kano,
Sonya,
oh my god, he was hysterical. Fucking
Kano
loved
carried
Kano.
that movie. Kano carried that movie.
He really did.
Yeah.
He carried that movie. Oh, man. And to be honest, there was a lot for him to carry, too, if you really think about it. Like, that entertainment value that I was saying before, like, how entertaining this movie was, that was about, like, 75% because of him.
Yeah, like, they definitely added a lot of comedic elements, and again, like, I enjoyed this movie. I don't want to say that I didn't like this movie at all, or I didn't love it or hate it. I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. It's just a lot of narrative choices and even creative differences they made, I don't think really represent Mortal Kombat to its full extent of what it could have been. And that's the unfortunate thing as a fan and even as someone who wants to write these adaptations of video games, and it looks like these writers still don't get it just yet. I don't think it's... and of course, people are probably going to ask me, okay, is this up in your best video game adaptations? No, I don't think it is. It's a decent meh one. Again, there are certain creative differences that they made that hindered it to be a really solid adaptation. I still think Sonic and Detective Pikachu are up there. But as far as
I agree.
Yeah, but like Mortal Kombat, like I said, had a fun time. I thought it was entertaining. Cole Young as a character and even acting-wise, he just didn't do it for me. They should have focused more in trying to tell a cohesive narrative and instead of trying to sequel bait people and franchise it up, because you can do that when you have a strong movie. Obviously, the audience score right now is like at 88, so people are enjoying it. Question is it going to get is the sequel going to get greenlit? Yeah.
And now, just out of curiosity, because I'm coming from the point of Darius, you're obviously a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I've never played any of the games, and I'm still stunned at like how great of a time I had watching this, despite the movie's flaws and despite the fact that I never played any of the games before. Brenden, were you a Mortal Kombat fan? Did you play the games?
Oh yeah, I played them all. I love this franchise. I was watching the game and stuff. I was watching the movie, sorry, and I was sitting there when Liu Kang was fighting Cabal, and I was like, okay, down over A, he's about to do a fireball.
Yeah, I was
Sub-Zero,
thinking the same thing.
Sub-Zero's doing an ice hammer right now, down over X, down, over, up, over, and then I'm just like fatalities, and then this, I loved it, I did, but then you see, it's cheesy, it literally something went wrong with it. It didn't feel right. Yeah. I didn't like Cole. The guy just had no charisma, like I said. Scorpion, oh my God, it just so good. So good. But
again, you were talking about how Scorpion was great. I definitely agree. I think Hiroyuki Sanada is a great, perfect casting choice for that character. And the one character, I know a lot of people have said Kano is a standout. to me, it was Sub-Zero. Joe
Yes.
Taslim
Sub-Zero
just
was
did
great, too.
such an excellent... Like, every time he was either on screen or they hinted at him coming in, I actually got chills down my body because I was like, oh, I know it's about to get good.
Yeah.
I was like, it's about to get good.
Yeah, based on the little I know about Sub-Zero going into this, they did well with him, I have to say. They really did.
They did a good job with Sub-Zero.
So now, like I said, the fight sequences were terrific. Those were really well done. But I guess on another technical front, too, the visual effects. I'm sorry, are we in 2021 or 1995? Is it just me? I mean, like, certain things looked a bit underdone, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Go
like,
Toro.
Visual... it's the first one all over again. I mean, like, certain visual effects definitely looked cool. It definitely felt like they were going for that video game-esque style and look. But at the same time, certain things definitely felt unfinished or just didn't look right. And I guess it's a mixture of that as well as some of the animation towards some of the aspects of the visual effects. But like I actually liked some of the visual effects. I thought it was cool to see certain iconic things in the moment. But like they definitely said they wanted to use more practical effects than visual. So I can see where the money went.
That's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie.
They definitely should have went more practical.
Yeah. Even if that's what they said that they were going to do, they didn't. They clearly did not do that. That's a lie.
Yeah.
Now, is it just me, too, like, as far as, like, the climax? It didn't feel like a climax. It felt like a rising... No. It felt like something that you get on the way to the climax. It felt like a rising action. Like, is it just me?
Oh, I felt that way.
It ended on a rising action, for sure. It felt like that.
Okay. Because it's weird, because, like, it felt like a rising action, and then, like, they're wrapping things up. I'm like, wait, are they wrapping things up? That was the finale? Wait, what? What's happening?
Yeah, same.
Like,
I felt that, too.
There yet?
I was like, oh, come on.
It had a terrible pacing. The beginning of it was great with everything that happened. Then you get to the second act with Cole, and then just the exposition starts to happen, then other characters start to show up, and I'm like, no, this is too fast. I can't take this all in at once. This would have worked so much better as an HBO Max show.
I was thinking the same thing.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like the pacing definitely felt off. For me, honestly, the strongest point of the movie is really the beginning. I thought that was so well done, but then everything else sort of fell flat. And this is where it's like, I love Scorpion, but they didn't use him a lot. Like, come on. And you're trying to make him... Joe, we're gonna have to add a spoiler section. I need to talk about some things.
Okay, so you know what? Let's say, you know what? Okay, spoiler. Spoiler comes down in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire away.
How can you tell me the main character Cole is special, and you're telling me he's a descendant of the Hanzo Hasashi clan? No, he has no irrelevance except for that. That is it, and even that didn't sell me. Okay.
I feel like they kind of did that though. Like when you saw his boxing gloves, they were yellow. So I was like, oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. They were the exact same tint as Scorpion. And then when he's looking in the mirror and he sees Scorpion's vengeance, and I was like, oh god, here we go. They're really doing this MacGuffin where Raiden's gonna give him the kunai. I was like, come on, don't do this. Don't go this path. The movie had no direction. They didn't know what they were doing.
Summon. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I was saying that to myself.
And, like, here's the thing, too. Like, as far as, like, Cole Young being, like, the descendant of Scorpion, I'm sorry. Did no one else see that coming from the beginning?
Oh, I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, I just didn't want it to be true.
Like, here's the thing. Again, this comes from someone... I didn't play any of the games. I don't know a damn thing. Because it was just so obvious from the beginning.
The thing is, he doesn't have descendants.
They're not like
Scorpion
this. They actually have a story. They're cohesive. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Like, and this is where the creative differences they made.
I mean, like, here's the thing.
What?
I think they really hindered it, to be honest.
Yeah, it did. Like, one of
Hello?
the differences, and
Hello?
this is where I want
I'm
to talk
still
about
here.
spoilers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're still here. Oh, okay. Yeah, and like one of the
Okay.
creative differences I think they made that really hindered was the whole mention of the Arcana, and because that just it took away from some of the uniqueness. And I don't know about you, Brenden, but I don't recall Arcana in Mortal Kombat at all. That is so new, and
No.
that I think
No.
that I'm just like, okay, you're telling me that Sonya Blade gets her iconic sonic pulse things from a Mortal Kombat symbol. I'm sorry, I know that, and even that to a certain extent was not fully fleshed out, because you're like, okay, you're telling people that this Mortal Kombat system, this token essentially gives people also hidden abilities, and they need to unlock it. Right? What about Scorpion? You clearly see his. Sub-Zero should have gotten a second one. Like, again, it felt very unfinished, that it just didn't feel believable. Even Jax, to a certain extent, his Arcana are apparently metal arms. These differences don't help. You could have easily done, hey, he lost his arms, he went back to the Special Forces. Maybe Sonya Blade, for example, is like, you know what? Let's weaponize him, give him metal arms instead. And now you have a good inner conflict with Jax that, like, oh, you made me into a monster. I didn't want, like, again, I have so many ideas, but still. It's like they just introduced this cheesy element that didn't help and really took away some of the specialty of these characters that make them unique from the lore that we all know and love.
Hot take. It felt very Final Fantasy 13 when the team got the Lacies on their hands and they had to go save the world and the whole Destiny thing. And I just want to know, why are movies doing this path of going, oh, a big catastrophe's coming and you have to assemble heroes? I'm sorry, Mortal Kombat is not Avengers. And I love how Greg Russo actually says that. We're just going to do what Marvel did. That's what we're going to... No, that's not what
Wait,
Mortal
he
Kombat
said
is.
that?
Yes, there's a quote that I guess somebody from the Mortal Kombat staff wrote that.
Okay, I want a sequel. I want to see what they go, but get rid of Greg Russo. I'm sorry, get rid of that writer. Bring someone else.
He's not related to Joe and Anthony by any chance, is he?
No.
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 If so, oof.
So overall, like, I just want to ask a question. I think I know your guys' answer. Like, obviously, the most prominent and well-received video game adaptations so far seem to be Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog. How do you guys feel Mortal Kombat stands in comparison to those two films?
In an entertainment value, I think it's there. I could as in the car, Joe. As we were coming back, I want to see it again. I had fun. Like I said, I had fun with it. But as far as an adaptation point of view, I don't even think it's number 3 or 4.
Wow,
it's about I say about 9. It's on like 9th on my list. I really didn't like this film. I sat there entirely bored during the exposition portions of it. It really slowed down at parts that it should have been speeding up. The lore was... It was kind of like a child's version of Mortal Kombat. It was the most PG film I've ever seen under R-rated skin.
That's interesting. Yeah, because like overall, I think Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog as films are definitely stronger. Yeah, Darius, I agree with you. Like entertainment-wise, like it's definitely there. But as far as like an actual film itself, like it doesn't stand with the other two. Again, not saying that Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog are cinematic masterpieces himself. I mean, especially with all the Olive Garden product placements in Sonic the Hedgehog. But, you know, it's for what it was, for the time that I spent, it was worth it. And as far as the money that was spent, shout out to Mark Delsoin. But yeah, no, like, even though the movie definitely has its flaws, it was better than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to be honest. It was better than it had any business being, if I'm being honest. Like I said, there were certain things that it didn't work well, like overall narrative. Even though there were certain things that could have been sharpened up a bit, like it was still competent. Like I was expecting something completely incompetent from like a narrative point of view, and honestly, I didn't get that. I still got better than that. Acting overall wasn't terrible. It was there. You know, they didn't feel like they were phoning it in, but they weren't standing out either. But yeah, and again,
like I said, the main
this is all overshadowed by the fact. Yeah, the overall, I feel like the movie's flaws, while they can be glaring at times, they're all overshadowed just by like how entertaining this movie was overall. And again, I think that's thanks in part to not only Kano, but of course like the action sequences as well. Just those two alone are enough to see the movie, in my opinion.
I did not like the music.
It's interesting you say that. I like the music. I heard like little hints of like 90s video games and like the score for the film. I actually like that. So it's interesting that you say that. It's funny.
Again, this goes into I guess the writer and director knowing what type of film they wanted to make, and they delivered on the type of film they wanted to make. For certain Mortal Kombat fans, they may not be happy about it. They may not have wanted a Mortal Kombat movie that maybe took itself a bit more seriously. And, Brenden, we talked a bit over on Twitter of how, like, they could have made Liu Kang the main protagonist, as he should have been, and done a almost Shaolin Monks, combination in Mortal Kombat and really get to see that brotherhood between, Kung Lao and Liu Kang. But we didn't get that. And especially that death, Kung Lao's death, because we are in spoilers right now, so.
We're in spoilers. Well, you're good.
Yeah, so Kung Lao's death did not really feel as impactful as it should have been, considering these two are like practically like brothers and everything as they established in the movie. You could have had those two main protagonists, sequel, then you kill them off and have a bit more weight. Again, I have a bunch of ideas. I just want to. For me, if I had to give it a rated out of 10, it would be probably a 6 or 7.
Honestly, I'd probably say 7. I'd say 7.
Yeah.
It's at a 6.87 for me.
Yeah. But overall, you guys know our opinions. We obviously had a lot of opinions to share as far as like what we thought of Mortal Kombat. Do you guys think that Mortal Kombat stands with other successful video game movies like Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog? Do you think it was worth the wait? Does this movie give you hope for other video game movies to come, or did it feel like more of the same with the track record that video game movies have? Leave your thoughts in that comment section there below. And just like that, the show was done. And so I'd like to thank Brenden Rooney. I don't know how I butchered your name just now. Rooney's a pretty easy name to say.
You're good, man. You're good.
I'd like to thank Brenden Rooney for coming on to review Mortal Kombat with us. I'd also like to thank Jose Alvarez and Brian Collins for coming on for our first segment where we talked about our most recent filming project, Venge. And just one more time, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, as well as the Podcast Index and YouTube. And those social media profiles in that description there below, they're not there for no reason. You got to like them. You have to follow them, and you have to share them. So, again, until next time, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for coming on the show. And just like that, this has been episode 14 of Cinema Unchained.